Are you looking for a faster video? Well, today it's a live stream, and I know you're probably looking for a really nice and tidy, edited down video, but I have ways for you to make it faster. You can click that little gear on the YouTube settings right there on the video and adjust the playback speed, make me sound like a chipmunk, and it'll go a lot faster. You can also look and see if there's timestamps for this project in the description, and if you're on a desktop, you can hover over the time bar at the bottom of the screen and see if it's chunked up into chapters, and then that way you can go directly to the step you're looking for. And lastly, you can also tap on the screen on the right hand side of the video picture or on the left hand side to make the video jump ahead, forward or backward if you're on a mobile device. And you can adjust that amount in your settings so you can have complete control over how much it jumps. So if you are on a desktop, you can use the fast forward or the rewind, and that will make it go faster as well. You can also enable subtitles, and the little CC on the screen will enable closed captioning. That way, if I am a little bit harder to understand with that double playback speed, the subtitles might help you out. All right, well, I know that it's not a nice little edited video, but if you sew with me, we'll get there together and it'll be lots of fun. And now for the live stream. Happy sewing! Hello! Happy Thursday! How are you? I was changing my needles. Sorry, I couldn't let go of the screwdriver, so I had to sit on that screen for a few seconds. I'm not sure I have enough thread today, so we'll see. I don't have enough to like wind a bobbin while I'm sewing, so if I run out of a bobbin, I might have to use something else until I get another one. I don't know. Hello, Serena, Malin, Michelle. This is Necro. How's it going? You're here on time. Me too, kind of. Hello, Hannah. How's it going? All right, I'm just gonna warn you. My throat feels so like allergy today, and we're doing the whole sew through, so we'll see. How are you? How are you? All right. So at the towards the end of yesterday's stream, we started talking about potentially like drafting our own blocks. And see, I've always wanted to do that, and I actually did some streams. I'm trying to get myself centered, where I taught people or you guys how to draft your own front, back, and sleeve. Hi, Barbara. Hey, Megan. Welcome. Welcome to your first stream. You know how to chat. That's awesome, and you're doing everything correctly. Except at the top, we should all change our thing to say live chat. Mine wasn't switched. Hello, Rebecca. Hello, Sydney and Noemi. How's it going? Libby. Hello, hello. I missed, Libby must have been commenting in the chat about a site, and I missed it. And Mrs. Necro sent me a link to a YouTuber, and I put both those in the Facebook group. So I have a Facebook page. I'm not a big Facebook user, but I have it only for So-So. And there is a group on there as well. If you want to belong to it, it's very casual. And I put the links to both those. So I thought, because they were kind of interesting. So I checked out the website, and you input your measurements. It's free. And you can get your own bodice block or pant block as well. I haven't done that one yet. And I did my measurements yesterday, and I have to say it was actually kind of fun because there's like, it's kind of interactive. Like there's a little model that pops up, and what you need to measure is highlighted. It was kind of easy for me because I could do myself and my dress form. So some of them I'm like, oh, perfect, I'll just do this, you know. And it's interesting because it kind of guesses, we think this number is going to be this for you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm 4 inches different from that. And so that it would make me kind of reevaluate how I was measuring. And there were just some measurements that I wasn't going to hit their target. You have to, if you're female, you have to put with breasts. If you're male, you have to put without. So just make sure you note that. Or maybe not if you're female or male, but if you have those anatomical attributes, you might want to stipulate that when you're creating your block on there. And then the website is freesewing.org. Very simple. So the other, the YouTuber, what was the name of the YouTuber? I can't remember her name now. But she has a like quick and dirty way to make your block using other patterns. I think that's a really great way. I've done that before. It's awesome. If you have a pattern that you have some options to manipulate the bodice into whatever you want on there, like darts, and there's some really easy to find landmarks on those patterns, or you just have a pattern that just fits you really well but it's not overly like stylized. I think that's a really great starting point as well, and she had some really good suggestions on what patterns you could start with. So, and then they all were big 4 patterns too, which I didn't have any of them. So hey Ray. Hey Terry. Hey Martina. Closet historian, thank you. You'll know I'm really terrible with names. I hate it because it feels like it could be, people could take that I don't know, that I'm not sincere about it, but it's always been like that for me. Hi Eliza. Ooh, Tetris and winning. Good job. Yeah, that right, Malin. I thought that was really interesting, and I think it's because Libby explained it. I think that originally it was devoted to menswear sewing, and they started with the neck circumference. So yeah, that is a very interesting thing about this site. So it made me even more intrigued. I was kind of like, come on, you're going to determine my size based on my neck measurement, and obviously that's probably not going to go very well. So I kind of in some ways was like, proved you wrong on that one. And then, but there was the cross, was it called the cross waist measurement? That one really confused me, but it's the rise and the total rise. And that one I had to redo because I was like, all right, where I'm measuring my waist might not be like the start and stop. So anyway, those were 2 things. And I'll try and put those links in the chat today once a bunch of people are here and we can talk about it a little bit more. So like I said, I've always wanted to be able to teach people how to make their patterns fit them, or make the garments that they want, or at least make the fit adjustments. But I've found that like once my channel started getting going, I just found like it was kind of hard because we don't have like a common language to speak with or a pattern to speak with. So then I was like, we're going to do a basic block. And I think a lot of people got kind of hung up on the fact that you might need help with the fitting or the measuring. And it just feels a little bit isolated. Like you're like, I don't know, is this right or not? No one can see what I'm looking at. How does, and so I think that kind of thing is, it's really tough to do virtually, not in person. So I kind of just put that aside. It felt a little bit too much at the time. But the thing is, like, there's plenty of people probably sewing your favorite garments and things. You don't really need my sew-alongs. But, yeah, me too, Libby. I thought so, too. I thought that was really interesting. But what if we could, because this kind of started out of a conversation that I initiated by saying, like, how ethical would it be for me to teach you how to modify a pattern to a design of a pattern that comes out, but it's not in your size. So if, say, a company comes out with a pattern, you really love the pattern, you're like, well, shoot, they don't even come close to making my size. How ethical would it be of me to teach you how to draft your block into that pattern? And I have qualms about this myself. It was just kind of a conversation I was starting, but it did lead into this discussion about creating our own blocks. And it was really awesome to see all your enthusiasm for potential pattern drafting videos and doing things like that. And maybe I just need to let go of the fact that not all of us have dress forms, let alone a custom dress form, or maybe blocks, and maybe it just seeing some of the development of these patterns might give you further understanding on how to adjust your patterns anyway. You don't have to have your own block. and it gives you kind of the confidence to know like how to deal with certain things, and definitely grading. So I think like in the pattern drafting world, I don't know if you guys see this, but I did as a pattern drafter. Pattern drafters, a lot of them, it's like that's the thing they hate to do the most. So it's like when kids complain about math in school, or I don't know, it's like every little profession or vocation has its thing they don't like. It's like the stereotype thing they don't like. For pattern drafters, it's the grading. And for me, it wasn't. I actually don't mind the grading. If you just don't think of it as a bunch of mixed jumble of lines and you think of it as simple steps and increments, it's just so much more manageable to think about it that way. And it's not as intimidating. Plus, you're not grading 14 different sizes. You're grading, to your size. So that's a little bit different. But it means you need to start with a pattern that fits you pretty well to get there, because you can't just grade up from a 12 to a size 20 and expect the same style lines to be in the right place. So there's that kind of thing. They are all correct when they say we would have to develop blocks in order to create the patterns you need in your sizes, and they are correct in saying that, and it does add a lot of work. So, but at the same time, I don't think it personally adds as much work as it looks like it's adding. I think it's just more like they're already on this kind of path of what they need to do for the year and the patterns they need to release and the income they need to bring in to keep going. So doing this whole section of patterns over again delays a lot of that, because they have to put all this people power towards doing that. And it is a little bit of work, especially when you get into the fit testing thing. But they've already done a lot of the work. I don't know. I don't want to assume. But for us, like in a design room, we just chipped away at it when we would add a new category of fit, or if we would add another gender or, something like that to our size chart. We chipped away at it, It's not like you don't have a ton of people in front of you to start with. Hey, Elena. Like people there in real life near you, so you can at least start ruling stuff out, just like we all do. I don't know. I'm sure pattern companies hate me for saying things like that, but that's how it is. Anyway, you're here because we're sewing the Texas top, and I don't have my this thing right here. Let's put this over here. You don't have to look at the screws of my machine, and I can make it a little bit bigger. So today's project, this week's project, is sponsored by Hearts Fabric, and we're making the Texas top. So they sent us fabric and a pattern and all the things I need. We're going to cut and sew. We cut it yesterday. We're going to sew it up, and I'm going to send it back to them, and they can display it in their store. So if you're ever at their shop in Santa Cruz, which so one of my former customers slash acquaintance friend, she actually was there one day, and she went, "Whoa, look, I know that person who sewed those," and they were all displayed there, which is really fun. I haven't seen it. I got the timer on the screen. I did start it. Yeah, Malin. Yeah. She's one of them is someone I've referred to. I just didn't mention them by name in the stream. Yeah, I've been listening to that one too. Yeah, Mrs. Necker, it could be there and it could be incorrect though. So it's good to always mention it, because I've recorded videos and it's in there in my video, and it's so annoying. I can't get rid of it. I can't put anything over that, because what'll happen is if I put my hand under it, like say if I put a little piece, like a little color block, a little block of color over this thing that perfectly matches my table, if I do this, you see that little block of color hovering above my hand. Yeah, they are very frank, and it's kind of, I just had the word. I was about to say adorable, and that's not the word I'm looking for. It's very endearing. It's very personable and endearing, and I really like it for that. It does feel like you're listening to a conversation between friends that is very frank about whatever sizing and sewing and stuff. You open on your keyboard? What? Hey, Elizabeth. Yeah, that's Joe Hassler's one half of it. So I came by way of it because of her. And she is very about size inclusivity, and she is definitely someone who understands that not all patterns come in her size, and she doesn't want to have to grade up every time. She doesn't want to do all that work, and I completely agree with her. But anyway, yeah, I'm actually behind. I thought I was like only one behind or two behind, but I think I'm 3 behind right now. I'm having a little trouble keeping up with everything lately. Yeah, that's awesome, Lynn. They would love to hear that. I wouldn't doubt one of them could be in chat too, just lurking, because I know she watches, and I didn't know that until recently, which is pretty cool. It pushed up the chat. That's weird. So does that mean like you can't see the bottom of my screen down here? See, this is the, like, for me, I'm always looking for the edge of my table where my camera is. See, right there. I'm always trying to get as much of my table in front of the machine as possible for you guys. Oh, God. It's like I poked the bear. I shouldn't have touched the camera. Because if that line's crooked, I know that might trigger a few people. I see so many interesting angles for cameras for sewing. Oh, they did, Elena. Cool. Is that available to everybody, or is it part of some sort of like Patreon content? Yeah, I've been rotating too. And I've been honest with you guys. I don't listen to and watch a lot of sewing content when I'm not with you guys. You can't see my... Oh, interesting. That's weird. I feel like I've noticed that too, Mrs. Necro, on something else, because I was like, why did I film it that way? It's cutting it off. And I realized it was just that, yeah, that kind of aspect ratio. You might be able to double tap the screen and it might zoom it out a little bit. Don't quote me on that. I watched 2 of my episodes yesterday to get timestamps for the Annie cardigan. And I will be honest, I was almost going to download that one and edit it and re-upload it because of all the fire talk I did on there. I was just kind of uncomfortable with that. But it wasn't as bad as I thought, and so I left it in there. But what really surprised me was how well you actually can see, because for me the screen's really far away, and so that made me really happy. And it also makes me realize, like, because I've joked often, like, shoot, I've made mistakes and my stream probably can't even see it because I can't see it up there. But then when I watch that back, I'm like, they can see me making mistakes. Oh, okay, Elena, that must be what it is. Oh, really? Interesting. That's interesting, Eliza. All right, well, let's get sewing. I don't have anything to write my timestamps on. And see, this is one thing I wanted to check out the Creator Studio, and I just can't figure out how to do it, because I can put bookmarks in my stream. And then I could just tap, I think, and then I would know, oh, go to that spot. That sounds so appealing to me, but the whole launching that thing kind of scares me. Like, if I open my Creator Studio right now, it says, hey, do you want to start live stream right now? And I'm like, but I am live streaming. I don't understand, like, why you don't know that, you know? Yeah, I do that too, Mrs. Necro. Let me see. I need some paper here. I've been going through a lot of paper lately. Like, you know all those notepads you have and little books, and they kind of pile up because you're not using them as much? I'm finally using all those things. All right, so I won't write anything down until I'm actually about to start sewing. All right, so here's our wrap top that we're making today, and I'm making it in this really lovely, you can see the color a lot better on this camera here, this Brussels washer linen in dark purple, and it is, I think, 36639. 36639 is the color number. You can get 10% off. Where is this? Where? Oh, it's right here. I always think it's way over there. There's a little 10% off code there. All right, so I'm gonna just briefly look at the directions and try and do it in the same order that it is in here, so that you know you can follow along a little bit. All right, so we're gonna do our front panel. We're gonna do ties front panel. Shoulders, sides, sleeves. Neckband. All right. All right. Ready. I know I have so many of those, Mrs. Necro. I have friends that give it to me and I'm like, I don't ever use these things. I don't like the really hard bound ones because they don't stay open. I like them to stay open. All right, ties. Side front, shoulders, side seams, sleeves, neckband. I think the hems come in a little earlier in the instructions, but we'll do them at the end, unless we find that we need to. There's not a back view, otherwise I would show it to you, but you can see this little bit that hangs down here. That is part of this wrap. You can see it here too. I thought originally this was an extra piece of fabric attached there, but it's just the wrap kind of gently draping. I went to their website yesterday, and because Heart said, hey, you might check out the length of that. It may be a little bit like short for your liking, because I don't like things really short. And so we did a whole thing yesterday where I showed you how to figure out the length, and I only added an inch to this. And I thought, this looks like these pants go up high, right? And so it doesn't seem like it'd be too short. But I did see a photo on their website. The waistband of the pants, I think, is just above that. So if you lift up your arms, they may be a little short for some of you, but some of you like that crop top where you have high waist pants. So I would just check the length and see if it works for you. All right, let's sew our ties. Stop it. There we go. I haven't worn my clogs in a bit. I didn't have the right height. So we need, I cut 4 ties. I'm kind of tempted to, I mean, do I really want to fuss with that? No, we'll just sew and turn these. It just means well, yeah. All right. Oh, and the seam allowance is 1/2 inch. Huh. I'm going to trim a lot off of these then. It'll be hard to, I'm not doing this at a 1/2 inch. I don't think it's 1/2 inch. That's too small. That's too small. Let's see. I'm pretty sure I read the seam allowance are 1/2 inch. Maybe not on this tie though. So let's look. 1/4 inch. Hello, Louise. So, Louise reminds me about the Great British Sewing Bee. We were trying in the Facebook group to figure out a way for all of us to be able to watch it who can't. We're in the wrong country. It looks like some folks had luck with some of those links in Australia, but nobody in the States has figured it out yet. Yes, this is, I think, well, you know, I can't quite tell by their feed. Oh, wait, I'm going to sew across the end here. Heart said to me that it was a new pattern company. But I wasn't sure if maybe they are a fabric store and then they just started adding patterns. Because of some of the things they say about like fabric kits that they sell, and I don't know where I saw that. It might have been in one of their posts, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe they're a fabric company, so maybe they just added patterns. The feed is pretty. It's just that it doesn't really show exactly what they're doing quite yet, but it is really like beautiful pictures and lots of vintage sewing pictures and things like that. It's kind of cool. Oh, you watched episode 2 today, Malin? Nice. I'm seeing like a lot of the like Friday Sews folks posting videos, and you can tell it's in reaction to what they're seeing on there, and so that's pretty cool because it's like, oh, okay, they're talking about summer dresses, you know, or they're trying to imitate some of the dresses worn on there. Oh, you did, Elena? I think Malin has a VPN, right? I honestly think that most countries can get around it but the States. I'm not an expert in that kind of stuff, though. Oh, and this company's Instagram account is We Made It Personal. And I didn't find any, well, I found a couple of posts on this top in the hashtag Texas top, but they may have a different hashtag that I'm unaware of. And because definitely that hashtag wouldn't be suitable because it's been taken over by other stuff that is not sewing related and not even like garments. There's some sort of dish in Texas called a Texas top, so, or maybe a restaurant or something. So I saw Allison's from Hearts in the feed. Oh, I should not have probably sewn across the ends. We'll see. And where are you at, Elena? You downloading? Oops. I thought you were saying should, like you didn't want us to spoil something. I'm surprised they aren't selling the rights to it just for the money. But I don't understand that kind of stuff. I'm sure it's far more complicated and maybe they just can't come to an agreement. I'm having trouble getting this started. My stitch length is just a little too short for me to poke my loop turner through, and I keep getting this caught on the hook. Shoot. Alright, maybe that was it. I can't get too much at the end there when it gets started. Otherwise it won't slide. Worst comes to worst, I'll just cut the end off and then I'll just sew it afterward. Like this. Oh, you're able to do it. iPlayer and a VPN. All right. Yeah, so I saw your thing on there and your link, and so I haven't done that one yet. So yours might work. Yeah, I think I see a lot that original thing I posted. I think it works a lot for Canadians as well. All right, there's one. And then I'm gonna have to poke these in here, unfortunately. It's always this prep stuff that takes so long, you know? You guys can go make a snack and come back. I feel like they would be able to see that, you know? The loop turner usually does, but my stitch length was just too short. Don't diss my loop turner. The other one doesn't work for me, though. I've never gotten it to work. My friend, my old assistant, Rayanne, she was really, really into MasterChef Australia. And she was just like, it's a completely different show in Australia. And they used a torrent or something like that, a VPN, in order to watch it. And she said that that main dude, the one who's always seems angry, he's not like that on that show. And she just really liked it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Terry. Originally, I was like, do I just fold this? But I felt like that would have been kind of tedious to watch me folding all these, you know? And now I'm kind of rethinking that. Maybe I should have done that. Hello, R. Hughes. That's pretty cool. I think anytime you see people assembling and making things, it's pretty interesting. Because, like, when I'm at my dad's, he sometimes will have these blacksmithing reality shows on, and I get super into them. And I think he kind of likes it because then we'll start talking about. I'm like, but how are they going to do that? Like, I don't understand because I don't understand anything about blacksmithing. And that's what my dad does is his hobby. He's gotten really into it. And you know, I could say, well, you know, I can ask him questions. This is kind of cool. Random pattern search. I'm looking for some kind of lightweight cardigan that will go with the Arden's picture. Okay, I can't think of those right away. British doesn't. BBC doesn't. Huh. Well, whoever owns it, wouldn't they want to? This is painful to watch. I'm sorry, you guys. You know what? I'm going to tell you. If you have not cut and sewn this garment yet, here is, yes, Mrs. Necro, here's my tip. Make one long strip of this, turn the entire thing inside out, and then you can only do that part once, you know? And, you know, the other thing I can do is go like this. I can just hem this. If you're using a lightweight enough fabric, and this Brussels washer linen I think would work, you could hem it like this. The ends of our ties being hemmed isn't something that's not something we don't see, you know? Like, we see that. Should we try that? Oh man, I had it all positioned and then my feed dogs kind of pulled it apart. Do I have room for one more? I'm gonna go across the end too. Yeah, I fell off there. I don't think that's too bad. I think if you're using a fabric that maybe doesn't fray, you would even have better luck. Yeah, I think that's it, Mrs. Necro. Same here. That Forged in Fire show is pretty cool, and it's not very dramatic, you know. Oh yeah, Itch to Stitch might be a good one. Did you guys see the new trousers that Itch to Stitch came out with? I bought those. I like her patterns. I think she's a good pattern drafter. Oh yeah, the Blackwood, that's a good one. I think the bomber jacket's pretty cute as a cardigan type of thing. Oh yeah, Louise. I've heard of that one. I know the owner of Beatrice Dress Forms watches that one. Oh no. You've been really into that one, Melinda? That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. It's so satisfying, and I love that there was like a marathon of it happening over Thanksgiving. It was like so Thanksgiving-ish. It was kind of comforting. And it's just like, gosh, the gamble you take to make something out of metal and everything can just really go badly. Wait, I don't want to pull that out. I just like had all that in there and I'm pulling it out. My God. I feel like if I wasn't on camera, I would have had come up with a better way to do this. My daughter's not feeling good at all. She had her second shot yesterday. Oh my gosh, she's not feeling good at all. All right. Trying to get this little edge in here. You guys just need to entertain me right now. welcome, Diane, if you're watching. The all for the win. Oh, here come all the, it's funny. I swear YouTube holds on to these. Hello, Loves Crafts. How's it going? Oh, there you go. Thanks for the recommendation. Yeah, Liza, I got those by her, and I got her Sequoia cargo pants. I had missed those. I have quite a few things on a list right now to sew as well. One more, you guys. Can you make it? We'll try and turn this one so we don't have to do the sewing at the end. We'll try one more time. Hey, Beverly. Yeah, me too, Mrs. Necro. Yeah, she's feeling really bad. Oh, see, that's what happens. Okay. I think this is ideal if you can poke through the end. Down here. Like that. And then get it going, because then that little hook is shielded from grabbing your fabric as much. But this is a pretty open weave fabric, so it is going to be a little grabby. Oh, the glass blowing one. There's so many glass blowers in Humble. I knew a few of them. And yeah, that is, I see live demos by them. All right. Let's see if I can get my little hole repaired here that I made to poke it through. The rest of the top isn't going to take this long to sew. It's always these little fussy things. Maybe use ribbon instead. All right. All right. What's that? What is that right there? Ay caramba. I have a little bump there. I'm trying to kind of smooth it out a little bit. Liza, right? I know, that's how I feel, but I also play video games, so. I can't, I used to be able to like watch a little bit more while I was working on things here, but I can't when I'm editing videos, you know what I mean? Like it's just, I can't do that. I need to be able to hear. Let's go to the iron. Get it all situated. These are something that when you cut it really well on the grain line, they will behave a little bit better as far as where this seam is. Because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes that seam will kind of drift and go diagonally across the back. I bet one of these will do that at least. And when that happens for me, you know, you can fight it, but I find that if I let it just lay like that and just kind of deal with it or if I recut it. It's just not worth the battle, in my opinion. So recut it if it really isn't a good thing for your garment. Like that one's doing it right there. So we can see, let's see if I can get it to not do that. But my experience, if it really wants to drift across, oh, that one actually might, that was like a flipped seam allowance, so that might actually have solved it. All right, and here are the different ends I did. So I just tucked it in here. This one I hemmed, tucked it in. I think the hemmed one looks the best. That one looked turned, that's tucked in as well. So there's one hemmed one. A B cup butt. Perky C cup. Okay, I haven't heard that comparison. I like that. Oh, the Marlowe. They did, Sydney. They did earlier. The Marlowe's by Grain Line. What's the one by Sew House 7 with the bands across? Can't think of that. Alright, so we have our ties. Now you can see these ends. Let me get rid of this weird thread right here. I think my hook grabbed it. So they're okay. Will we notice them once it's tied? Probably not. Alright, so we have our two fronts here. As far as the pants goes, yeah, I think you're not alone in that, Loves Grass, at all. Oh, here you go. Sorry. It makes a huge difference if I just rotate my microphone. Is that better? Thank you for saying that. All right, we have this one here. And this one is my left front. It's hard to tell the difference in my fabric. This is my left front. That one's my right front. Right? That's how it goes. Yeah. The seam goes on the left. And I'm going to be making the Dawn jeans next week, and I have made a few. Is that even better? Is that better, you guys? I wish I could have it right here, but I can't get close enough. And the machine. Okay, cool. So I just cut out my muslin, and I'm going to be fitting those on Saturday. Not quite sure how I'm going to manage it. I'm going to place these on the notch. I'm going to put the seam down. And I think I'm going to put it so that the side that looks the worst is going to be, I don't know if I can. We'll see. I don't think I have much options here. We'll just tack these. So I've got them cut, and I'm going to sew them on Saturday. I'm sewing them already. Sorry, I'm trying to focus. Oh, we're doing French seams as well. Ooh, this is going to be kind of tricky. I'm going to sew them tomorrow, and then I'm going to fit them on Friday. That's my plan. Finally, I can say that. It's just tough because I don't have a pant dress form. And I'm not sure, I can't fit them on me in front of you because it just wouldn't work. I can't do that. Like, it's not physically possible. So I think what I might do is if I can get some good photos of some of the changes I want to make. And I'll talk about size selection and how I determined what size I'm picking and what are the things I'm looking for. That's my plan. I'm going to trim this down because I'm going to do French seam. And I'm going to immediately go and iron it and sew it because it's just so gosh darn thready. it'll get away from me if not. You'll have to use a nasty fabric. Oh yeah, for your trial. Yeah, I just used that weird muslin I have. Right, Ray? Who was the stream that you showed me, Ray, who was doing that live? And it's probably uploaded, and she's really good. Silhouette Patterns, right? What's her name again? Is that Peggy Sager? I'm trying to get it nice and not a bump right here. Sorry, it's not very light over here, is it? Let's try it from this side. A lot of calcium in my water here, if you haven't noticed. Okay. Oh, that's a navy blue thread. All right. That's acceptable. Yeah. Live streaming in my underwear might get me a strike against with YouTube. So when I get down to these ties, I'm going to make sure that they're perpendicular to the seam straight out so that they don't like droop down at an angle a little bit. You want them to be nice and perky. Yeah, exactly. That's what I did. I did shorts, the 10-inch inseam, Barbara. I think the important thing to do with muslin, and because there's a lot of debate where people are like, I don't want to use good fabric. I mean, I don't want to waste my time sewing, so I use good fabric. But here's the deal. If it's something you're going to have trouble with the fit, or you feel like you really want to dedicate some attention to it, I say use a fabric you don't care about, because then you're probably going to be more dedicated to the fit and not worried about making them look nice enough to wear. So, and you could sew them inside out, you can wear them inside out, you can mark on it with a Sharpie, you can pin, you can cut, you can do whatever it takes because you're basically the dress form. And I think that that's more important, and you'll end up using less fabric in the long run because you won't be making garments that don't fit you, that you don't wear. Right? So, I have not, Sydney. See, that's so funny. The length, circumference, and finally depth. Oh, me too, Terry. Yeah, it was kind of hard when I was putting in those like Malin said, like when I was putting in those measurements yesterday. Oh, I forgot to write down that timestamp. Whoops. Do you top stitch this? Doesn't say that. Stitch and press open. They say to press the seams open on this, but I'm finishing my seams, so that's not going to be possible. You can do that though if you like. I'm looking for the backs. I'm going to do the center back seam now. I feel like it's really hard to tell the right and wrong side of this, if there is a right and wrong side, you know? Oh, interesting, Eliza. I think when they talk about fitting the length first, if you're talking about pants, they're not talking about the overall length of the garment. They're talking about the crotch depth. That right there, because you probably need to get that in the right spot before you determine the circumference. Because say your pants are sitting too low at the top, and you start fitting the circumference and then you fit the length, what'll happen is you might inadvertently create a whole nother circumference issue. So I don't think they're talking about length as far as like your inseam or your outseam. It's probably the torso area. The area that you're really concerned about the fit with. Because the length, that changes with every time you make them, right? Like once you have the top fit, you just change the length all you want of the pants. I usually do this with a rotary knife. It's a little easier. Right, not the overall, the crotch length and depth, exactly. I think it's good to specify that. I wouldn't want folks to just fix the length going, oh, this is what I've been doing wrong, you know. I kind of love how certain fabrics change color when you iron them. Like reds, you know, and same with purples. They kind of change a little bit. They always go back. But it's kind of cool. Wonder what that is, why it does that. It gives me a little bit of a heart attack in some fabrics. Yeah, the grain lines are really, really important with pants as well. Now, I would have been the first person to do shortcuts and even for a while there, I was probably even cocky, like, nah, I don't really need to do that, you know. And I think that's that stage of sewing where you know a lot more than you did before. You just don't realize you don't know it all yet. But when it comes to making and fitting pants, the grain line is super important. I keep forgetting my timestamps, you guys. All right, here we have our back. And now we're going to do side, front, center, back, shoulders, 53. Oops, 53:38. It's really funny when I'm looking at this little page when I'm doing the timestamps later, and I'm looking at it while I'm watching myself write on it. It's kind of funny. Okay, so this is my, let's do this one first so we know we got it correct. The instructions are just too big. All right. There we go. French seam. Peggy's intense. That's funny. Let's see. Let me see. How do I want this seam? I want these to go that way. So I need to press the seam away from the front. So you're going to press your seam away from the front. I'm going to do all these 4 seams, the shoulders and the side seams, and then I'm going to iron and then turn them. I know I'm missing a little bit of chat. Sorry. Yeah, Eliza. You know, it's interesting because I was looking at this YouTube channel on how to make a pant form with expanding foam, and it didn't look too hard, but you know, those videos never do. There were a lot of really positive comments under it, and it had a lot of views, but nobody came back and said, this worked really great, and that's what I want to see, you know? I've never worked with expanding foam. All right, let's, I'm gonna trim these on the rotary mat. It'll be a fast room. Now, depth is usually defined as a straight measurement, not a curve. So if you were sitting down and you measured your waist to where your butt hits the seat, that would be crotch depth. Your rise is that curve. All right, let's do these just a little bit faster, and I get a cleaner cut, and I feel like the rotary knife prevents me from getting as many threads, you know, on this cut here. The shoulder's not so important because that little bit of bias really prevents any of the threads. This thread right here is the actual thread, not the cloth. One more. You've seen the Peggy Sagers one? That's great. I just pressed this seam. Everyone kind of knows this. I'm not like talking a lot because I feel like I say these things all the time. But if you're new to French seams, I do them a lot here because not everybody has a serger, and gosh, you know, I've really fallen in love with them. I feel like my garment is sturdier and it just feels like it's going to last a while. And I know that that's kind of a weird thing to focus on. It's just kind of an added benefit. But it does, like when you pick up your garment and it's just all finished like that, it just feels so good and it adds some stability. It's easier to iron. It actually, I feel like the seams stay ironed better because of the French seams. Not all fabrics are suited. They might be a little bit bulky. So when I do it, I sew one pass, just like I just did. I press the seam one direction, it doesn't matter which, and then I fold it along that seam and press it again. Because I pressed it on that first, going this one, you know, pressed towards it, because I pressed it one direction first, it wants to fold and press on this seam edge a lot easier now. It just kind of does it. Rolls over onto it. Makes it easier. Worth that extra step. It just makes the whole thing faster overall. Eliza. My mama is a retired nurse. Trust me, she's seen worse. But they also have a pretty intense sense of humor. So they may enjoy it. You might make their day. You want to measure the rise when you're standing up. Sorry, Mrs. Necker, I just saw that. when I was just now selecting my Dawn jeans size, I looked at, because that's a pretty high rise pant. In fact, I have a couple of ideas about that. So, you know, I just did all those measurements last night for that block website. And I was like, all right, we're being really honest about our measurements here, Sarah. So I ended up picking a size that's probably a little bit bigger than me, because that'll at least give me a little bit of room to fit, but I also don't want them super tight. And so I was like, okay, I kind of want a more casual jean, you know? You guys are cracking me up. And I was kind of wondering, like, all right, well, where is this waist measurement measured? I couldn't quite tell. I didn't read the pattern envelope thoroughly because I was just trying to get it cut really quick before the stream. And I kind of glanced over it and I decided, you know what, let's figure out where this rise is. And so I measured mine and I measured it to where I'm kind of hoping and expecting the waistband to end on the jeans. Mainly because I was kind of testing myself. Do I think that this is where it's at in relation to the picture on the envelope? It's okay if I'm wrong. I just kind of wanted to see, am I kind of gauging this correctly? And so I looked at my rise, which was a 28 total rise from front waist between the legs up to the back. And then I measured the size that I had picked, which was a 16. And that almost was spot on 28. And I was like, ooh, this is promising. The hip is a little big. So, and we'll see how the crotch curve is. I think the disappointing thing will be is if I don't have a whole lot of fit things to do. When I made her Ash jeans, they fit me pretty good right out of the package. And I am by no means a slender gal, but I have gained quite a bit of weight since I made those Ash jeans. So I think this will be a good challenge. Plus the denim is not stretchy, it's rigid. And one of the things I don't like about the cover photo, and why I never looked at those pants, was the rise, the fly looks really long, and I think that it's not very flattering. So I'm kind of considering, like, what if I made it a little bit shorter? Even like 3/4 of an inch shorter might make a big visual impact on those, you know? So that's true, Ray. Yeah, I mean, you might need more, and when you're sitting down, that's true, because we do feel kind of that pressure against our waistband when we sit down, you know? So, all right, so we have all of our shoulders and side seams done. So right now we have a nice little sleeveless bodice in this gorgeous purple color. Here's our ties. See? Do you guys want it lighter? I can make it lighter. A little bit. I want to make it lighter for you guys. I think you're honestly just here to listen. But just for a few folks maybe watching. There we go. How's that? A little better? Maybe even bring down the camera a little bit? What do you think? Okay, so now we're moving on to the sleeves. And then, yep. And then we attach the ties to the other side. I just don't want to forget to do those ties. Okay, Sydney. Have a good lunch. All right, so I want to make sure I get a left and a right sleeve, so when they're still together like this and they're stacked correctly, see, so there's two fronts, so pretend like they're right sides together. I'm just going to go like this. I'm going to peel this one away this way and that way, and now I have two that are right sides together or wrong sides together, depending on how you look at it. So as long as I sew them the same way, I should get a left and a right. There's no hem shape. Oh. Let's double check. So this one has a Why is this one scooped away? This should be the front if it's scooped away, but this is the back. Huh. And then this one. Okay, yeah, I do have a left and a right. All right, we're gonna iron this. We're gonna do French set-in sleeves too, for any of you nerdy folks out there who love that kind of thing. Oh, come on. Come on. There we go. Maybe I will trim this a little bit. It's a short enough seam, right? Makes it so that at least I don't get that raw edge poking out of my nice French seam on the outside. If you don't have like a ham or a salami, sometimes what I do is just offset the seam like this. Something narrower is a little trickier. That's just my machine coming down. If you're new here, it gets kind of impatient. The presser foot's still waiting for me to sew. Okay. I'm trying to decide if I should do a Friday sews this week. The videos, you know. I don't know what I really want to talk about. Oh shoot, I just unscrewed my microphone. Eek! Just a second. Can you guys hear that? Probably. Sorry. Because I'm always like I turn it like this. I probably unscrewed it a little bit, but that went together much better than I thought it would be. Really, Terry? That's really not that bad. This one in particular, it doesn't look like there's a ton of extra sleeve. How did I go, Mrs. Necro? Did you get a good one? I've been keeping an eye out for them, but all I see are those like little tiny seedless ones. That's not even a serving. It sounded like you're being chewed on. I'm sorry. Yeah, that would have been terrible. All right, so this is the right side of the sleeve. I'm going to turn it. Actually, we're going to leave it inside out, and because we're going to do wrong sides together. And then this is the back sleeve, so this actually does go to this one, right? Yeah. Let's just check it out. I measured the sleeve. Because of the way the fit looked in the picture, it didn't look like there was a ton of easing in there. And so I thought I would check it before I add an easing stitch, because maybe I can do it without one. I'm risky that way. I can't get it to lay in there. I'll put one in, I guess. Why not? If you need to set in sleeves using a French seam, I do have a dedicated video for that where I can kind of show you in detail. It's a really popular video. I'm really happy it helps people. Didn't have any with good butter yellow spots, sadly. And how does it taste? I know, sometimes I'm like, why did they pick this? Oh, those small ones I think rarely have that. Oh yeah, how's your new bird doing, Mrs. Necro? Still working on its summer dew, right? Pulling out feathers, unfortunately. He's like, it's gonna be summer. All right, so I'm just gonna put this, what I like to call is an easing stitch. And it doesn't look like there's a lot of ease. So if you don't like setting in sleeves because of that, I have a video just for that too, just setting in a sleeve, not even French seams. This one doesn't look like it'll be too hard. It does look like the shoulder hangs off of your shoulder, so I don't think that'll affect the fit either. It's not a high fitting set-in sleeve, if that makes sense. So you don't need the room for the gush of your bicep as more like, doesn't seem as, I don't want to say mandatory, what's the word? I don't want to say essential. It's not as essential. I think it'll be fine. All right, Mrs. Necro. Mrs. Necro, when I was working on this farm, we had this watermelon plant in the greenhouse. And when I would go and do chores, I would check. This is before I knew how much I loved watermelon. And I would check it every day. Same with, there was 2 fig trees in there too. And there was only 1 or 2 growing on that vine. And I happened to be the one that discovered it when it was ready. And man, it was such a treat. Like living on the farm, we were so like broke, poor, had made no money there. And I took that little single serving watermelon and I whacked it on my knee, cracked it open, and I just sat there eating it. Yeah, it was such a treat. I'll never forget it. It just, because I'm have such a sweet tooth, but just didn't really have any food like that around me. I didn't have the money to buy it. We lived kind of rurally, so it wasn't like I had access to it. Plus, I didn't have the spare money, which is probably good not to have the temptation. So, all right. So where's that shoulder notch? There it is right there. So I'll put a pin for that. I usually put at least 1 pin in at the shoulder so I know where to go and we can kind of see where we're at. Now, I put that easing stitch on the seam line, or just inside of it, not on it perfectly. But right now I'm sewing the French seam at the same amount I've been doing. So it's like a small 1/4 of an inch. So I'm away from my easing stitch. Here's my easing stitch, and my seam's going to be in between. So I might be sewing and creating tucks, and that's okay because this isn't the final seam. It's not the one that's going to show to the rest of the world. So in setting in sleeves, we never want those tucks to show. But with this is okay because this is in the seam allowance. And I find that setting, this is probably controversial words, and Terry's not going to like it that I say this, but I find setting in sleeves as a French seam is almost easier than the other way, because once you do this pass right here, which is really easy, right? You're allowed to stitch through the tucks. Now I'm going to go back and do the other one. I don't have to worry about it. Like, it's all set. It's like there's no pins. It's kind of like it's on there. I'm ready. I just need to trim it and then I'll sew it. So we'll do both so that we can iron at the same time. Nice. I love scraps. That's awesome. Okay, wait. I want to put this wrong side out because I'm doing this wrong sides together first. The biggest problem I think using so many French seams is if you're not sure about the fit, it can be a little too much work to want to take out to fix something. And I didn't mention it on this sleeve, but I'm offsetting the thickness at the underarm here. So I'm pressing the side seam of the garment towards the back, but the side seam of the sleeve towards the front, so that at this juncture at the underarm here, it's pretty flat. And the bulk, you don't have to do that. That's just my thing. It doesn't affect the fit, and it makes it lay nice and flat right there. Less of a bulk in the underarm. Where's my 1 pin? I usually have like 1 pin I sew with. And my magnet for some reason lately isn't holding on to them because I only have 1 there. I don't like magnetizing. Oh my gosh, that's the hem of the sleeve. Ooh. Haven't done that before. This is why you situate it, right? Phew. No biggie, no biggie. I was like, why wasn't that gonna fit? A lot of times I don't line up my pieces completely before I start lining up just the one spot, you know, and then that'll happen. It's so easy to get overwhelmed by the whole garment that you're working on when all you really need to do is focus on that little tiny bit that you're doing. And I'm not a big fan of fussy stuff because I'm kind of klutzy that way. I'm not very good just in general in the world, like going through without I'm always juggling things, and I don't know, I just don't take the time I should, you know, to kind of set myself up for success sometimes when I'm carrying too much stuff or whatever. And with sewing, I found that if I just focus on what I'm actually working on in that moment, it got a lot easier when I didn't worry about all that over there. As long as I knew what I was doing was fine, I didn't have to worry about it. Oh, you like to do oh, yeah. Yep, I saved it. It was pretty obvious it was not going to fit. You want that ease towards the cap too. Like, don't put it down there at the bottom. There's a lot of stretch down there. You don't need it there. You need it to go across your bicep. It's a few too many. You can also adjust these with the French seam a little bit easier if you feel a little bit like, yeah, you know, maybe that could have been a little better. It's not set in stone quite yet. See what hold there. Yeah, see, I have this one little magnet. It's just not. So weird. I think it's the pins. You know? It kind of surprises me that that's your favorite method to do that, Terry. I think of anyone, you're the one I would think would have definitely been the setter honor. I didn't meet my start. This is something I do a lot. I don't know about you guys. So when I started, like, I'm a big fan of, you know, the right angles at the underarm here. And when I start, sometimes I start at kind of an angle. So I'm looking at this line of stitching was where I started. So to exaggerate it, this is it right here. My awl's over it. But when I come back around, I can't meet that. It's too low. It's not at the right spot. What I need to do is force myself to kind of pull up a little bit and then come down here so that I get a smoother transition. It's just a little too far away for me to see to pull that stitch out. Thankfully, I don't really backstitch when I start these because I'm going to backstitch at the end anyway. So it doesn't make it hard. Plus, I know I do this all the time. So it's probably good I don't backstitch either. All right. So let me get that transition a little bit better on the underarm. I've been working on that a little bit lately because I've been paying attention to how I do that because it's not very great. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Terry. I mean, I think like that, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? And shirt sleeves are more commonly sewn that way, but it's just not I'm not a big fan. I really like that juncture at the underarm to be a circle, I guess, because then it feels like the sleeve moves as one, you know? And it's not pulling on the seam of the underarm. But maybe I'm just assuming what's happening there. This is probably the worst part of doing the set-in sleeve because you're a little worried you're going to trim your garment. But I like to do it like this, with the garment above the mat, right? So I'm working on here, and then I have less risk of the garment kind of slipping under there. You can see, oops, that's a little too close. This is my gather stitch. This is my seam that I just sewed. I'll remove the gathering stitch later if I can get it out. I tried to not catch that little thread in there when I sewed it, so that it wouldn't be hard to pull on it. Oh, my daughter's feeling a little better. She got sick, like nauseous, and started throwing up. And she's kind of stuffy from allergies, so that's not good. Plus the COVID symptoms. She feels really bad. But I'm not surprised. They say for young people, it happens to them a little bit more because they don't have as many tolerances. Many immunities, I guess. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that. All right, back here at the beginning. Okay, let's iron it. I might need my salami for this part. Might make it a little easier. This shirt's going pretty quick, you guys, right? I feel like it's going pretty quick. If you didn't do all the French seaming, you'd be almost done by now. Because I'm pretty much sewing it twice. You know? Yeah, this might be also my least favorite part, is ironing this little spot, because I can't really do it flat. Did you ease the stitching? I did, Eliza. I did. I wasn't going to, and I decided that there was enough ease in there that it would be a lot easier if I added the easing stitch, and it is there. But it doesn't have a whole lot. It's not a hard one. Like in the one I use in the video, I put about the max you would ever see. So it's about as hard as it gets. And it's kind of obvious too. It doesn't look that great, but it looks really great for having almost 1.5 inches of ease in it, in my opinion. And I add a lot of ease to my sleeves. Like if you ever see me wearing my Scout tee, I add a lot of ease to that sleeve. Their patterns, the armholes are usually a little too small for me. And I drop it now and I add to the sleeve a little bit more. And it makes that sleeve fit me and feel more comfortable, especially since especially the Scout. This is right here, my notch right here, but we'll fix that a little bit because there's you could see the salami through there. That's the notch, and it's okay to stitch across your knots. It's not really okay that it got spread apart right there. I'm not sure how I let that slip by. You want your notch to not spread apart, and it's probably just the machine kind of pulled it. And the linen and me, lots of variables there. All right, let's see if that's enough. Let's see if that's enough. Start at the notch, down and past the seam, go up around the cap, past the first notch where I started through the other. Oh, you start at the notch. That's cool. I like that. That's the way your mom does it. That's cool. I'm trying to read chat while I do this. That's why it's looking terrible. So I'm just turning it so that I can now iron this seam right here. My camera's doing, this is the camera that drifts. It's a long story and you guys have heard it. It's because the little socket that it screws into, that little socket fell out right when I got it, and I've never gotten anything to keep it in there, and so I've taped it, and it was a brand new camera and I absolutely needed it the day it arrived, so I couldn't return it. And I've just dealt with it ever since, but it's getting to the point where I really probably need to replace it. We're a little bit more grown up here now, right? I need a camera that's not taped. There's always something to buy though. And I'm getting kind of low on fabric, so I'm trying to save and put my money towards that. Oh, really, Elena? We did Moderna as well. Yeah, she's never caught COVID this whole time, too. So I think that that's part of it as well. I don't know, though. Pretty sure I had it a year ago. That's why I don't go to my chiropractor, because I'm pretty sure I got it there. That table, though, you know, I don't trust it now for cooties. I had to go the other day, though, because of my back, but... Alright, so now I'm just ironing it on that edge, and we're setting it up for the last seam. And so sometimes when I'm ironing, I get a little bit lazy, and I'll get that seam edge a little bit off. Let's see if I did it anywhere here. This one's not really off. You can see it's a little hard to do. I encourage you to try and get it on. It'll make it so easy. And remember, this is forever, so you might as well. It's almost like you're sewing it right now with your iron. All right, one more. And then we're going to get to the fun stuff. I'm kind of eager to get to this neckband and a little bit nervous about it. I saw in the instructions you're supposed to hem the whole neckline first. And I just don't really understand how that will work with attaching the neckband. So I'm kind of interested to get there and kind of troubleshoot it. I think it'll be a good, I like a challenge. You know, I like a challenge. How long is my slime? Okay, so because you can't see my face right now, I'm gonna tell you this funny story. I saw that Love to Sew did this whole episode on, I think it was ironing, and apparently in the podcast they called this, wait for it, they called it a Tailor's sausage. And when I saw that in the comments on Instagram, I said, I think my comment didn't get posted, but I said, oh my gosh, if I called it like that on my chat, I'd be blushing so bright red calling it a Tailor's sausage. I was like, you did not call it that in the podcast. And they never replied to me, and I never went back to see, because sometimes when you comment from your notification section, those comments, those replies don't stick, you know? Or maybe they were just like, Jeremy, deleted it. I don't know. But I was like, ooh, I don't think you guys, I just don't think it clicked for them. But here, since size matters, Mrs. Necro. 10 inches is right here, and then I think like it's about 2 3/4 inches tall, and about 3.5 inches wide. But we could measure the fabric if you want, you know. Look at that. It's just, I just bought this thing. It sounds like it was filled with sawdust, maybe? I don't know. I never did make my little serger thread basket, but maybe we need like a sewing essentials stream where we make like the ham and the salami and the thread catching basket. Oh, really? That's funny. Like for me, I'm like, okay, I am definitely spending way too much time in gaming streams with guys, you know, and some of the things they say, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe they say these things and get away with it, you know? So the fact that that is exactly where my mind went is not really a surprise. All right, so now I'm just kind of enclosing those raw edges. And I want to sew just to the left of my gathering stitch or the easing stitch. I was a little generous on that first seam probably. Remember, I only have a half-inch seam allowance, so it's a little bit narrow for a French seam, but it's working really good. I usually prefer half-inch seams for a lot of woven sewing. A sleeve roll, okay. Louise is like, now, girls. And my comments stuck. They just chose to not reply, probably. I don't blame them at all. I'm such a blusher. That it really... Okay, well, maybe Americans are a little more dirty. My mom has a dirty mind, you guys. That's what I was raised with. I thought someone was walking down there. It scared me. Wait, what are you guys talking about? Oh, oh yeah, I should have showed you my sleeve, huh? All right, so this is really so easy now because I don't have any pins. I don't have to worry about it. And really what I do right now is I try not to pull this layer of sleeve. I try and keep it nice and flat and directly on top of where it was supposed to sew. It's so easy that you can almost pull it and then you'll get some torquing, but only the torquing will only be in the seam allowance, you know? But this just makes, it's almost like we pre-sewed it, you know, like we basted it. We just basted it a kind of far away though from the seam. All right, let's remove the, see, I hate it when I put the gathering stitch on the side of the sleeve and I can't grab it. That's so annoying. Let's see if it's poking out here. Here it is. Oh, God, I blush so easily. And my mom will make it worse. She'll be like, why are you blushing? Oh, nice, Melinda. All right, so there's one. So, no tugs. Looks good. You might see a little bit of these wrinkles that look like tucks, but remember, that's what the fabric was doing in order to get it to go into place. But you can steam that out. You really won't notice it. Ooh, what's a Welsh cake? Do I need one of those? There's a little bit of my threads of that raw edge. Actually, there's some of my stitching there, so let's trim these really close and then we'll make that seam allowance a little bit wider right there. This is the kind of stuff I notice when I'm, you know, sitting on the toilet and I'm like, oh, look at that. It's the only time I slow down. Where is that? Is it this right here? Where is that? I'm in the wrong spot. We just saw it. I know my, okay, let's get rid of this gathering stitch. Just try one. Oh, really? Yeah, what's a Welsh cake? Everyone's like, Welsh cake, Welsh cake. The Welsh are like, it's not a real thing. Oh, interesting. I don't see it now. Was it right here? I actually don't see it. There's where my, well, let's just see what that is. Oh, this is that. Oh, here's my, get rid of the bobbin. You can get rid of the bobbin and then that'll help it. Let's look at that spot where I have that notch. I think it's gonna be fine. It's in the seam allowance, so we're okay there. It's not ideal, but you know, when you're notching an armhole, that's a French seam or any kind of seam that is a French seam, notching with clips is not the best idea. I've probably never said that in the stream, but it's just because that's not, doesn't something that bugs me. Hi Gina, how's it going? Oh, I love Irish soda bread. It's a real thing, Louise. I just feel like I wonder if we're making it the right way here. Oh, you get them from a Welsh baker. Oh, a dense sweetening. Oh, I have had something like that before, and it was so amazing. All right, here do we go? Looking good, looking good. All right, so now we're at the hems, right? We're at the bottom of page. Okay, here's an interesting thing. It took me a bit to figure out. They say quarter roll a lot in here, and I couldn't figure out what quarter roll is. Now quarter roll the edge, and I figured out that what they meant was a rolled hem. And I think the reason it confused me, like where I saw it earlier on, I was like, oh, okay, it's a rolled hem. They said it with the neckline. That's why it threw me off, because you don't normally get the opportunity to hem your neckline, but with an opening like this, you know, it's a little bit more normal. Yeah, so you're supposed to finish this whole edge here, but what about the center front and the bottom? I see it hemmed. You don't actually have to add the collar either. Where does it say to hem the bottom? It says it here somewhere because it's shown hemmed. All right. I think this would be such a cute top to do a contrast binding finish on the inside. I would be down for that if you guys want. All right, so let's talk about this neckline. So here's the deal. If this neckline is hemmed, the neckband itself is sewn in a way that it starts and stops along the neckline, and it doesn't enclose the edge. In other words, most necklines, there would be like a obvious finishing point, like say it would actually go around to this end point of this edge, right? But this one isn't like that. The collar goes, I think, yeah, it starts and stops along this edge before it gets to the end. So that's pretty unique for a collar. So if you finish this edge, right, you have a hem there, and you have a stitch right here. So to use then your seam allowance is gone. But now you still need to attach your neckband. So if you put your neckband on and you don't hide that stitch line, you're going to see it. And here's my other thing. Like I think I could do that, right? That could work. But the other thing I was thinking about is because the end of the collar, you know, like say it's sewn across, you have this kind of thing happening, right? You have your neck line has to slip into this, and there's no edge for that. So in other words, you'd have to leave a little bit of this unsewn and then kind of deal with it how you may. Yeah, I agree with Libby, it would, but it doesn't come with one. So do you see what I'm talking about? Like why I'm a little bit like, ooh, this is kind of interesting. So here's the things I've thought of. I haven't thought a whole lot about it because I kind of wanted to talk about it with you guys. I think you could do a few different things here. You could attach the neckband on here right now. Just sew and turn your neckband and then put it right sides together, sew it along, and then you'd have a raw edge going around your neckline and you could bind it to the inside, or you could use a facing. And you wouldn't have to do this kind of fussy neckband thing. So personally, I think the binding would be really nice because you would get a nice finished edge. It's not though, Louise, because there's no end point for the neckband to wrap around. So let's sew the neckband together so we understand better what we're doing. So where is my... There's my little curve. Okay. Remember we curved this a little bit because I wanted a little better transition there. So this one and this one. All right, so we're gonna put this one right sides together. And this one right sides together. Was a little overzealous on that back stitch. Yes, I will, Ray. Just a second. Let me get this. I think it'll make more sense what I'm trying to say once I get this together. So I'm just going to sew. All I've done right now is sewn. Oh, I didn't come unthreaded. Wow. Oh, my timestamps. Meh. I got one down. All right, so we've attached our neckband, so we have, you know, a left and a right, basically, or, you know, along the center back seam here. So now we're going to put this right sides together, and we're going to sew along the short ends and the top edge here, the edge without the notches. We're going to sew that, and we're going to turn it. And then I'm going to show you what I'm thinking about. Try and keep all this lined up. The other thing I was thinking is this collar could probably benefit from some interfacing if you want. Ooh, I love it when I just nail it like at that, you know, like I turn at the right moment for the seam allowance. All right, so let's clip these corners. We'll turn it to the right side. And then we're going to press it. And then I'm going to show you. All right, when I do these long edges, I actually do it like I'm doing a French seam. I just press it one direction. It makes it a lot easier. It's the same principle. If I had interfacing, I'd be making sure the interfaced side was going to face out, you know, but I don't have to worry about it on collar like this because we haven't determined that. If you are interfacing it, you're going to want to make sure that you interface the one that's going to put your collar, though, with the interface side out once it's sewn. And remember, it is a asymmetrical collar. I feel like what I just said was kind of confusing, but I think you know what I mean. All right, so we have our collar ready. All right, so this is what I mean. Now, let's pretend we've hemmed this whole neckline, okay? So let's pretend it's hemmed. I kind of feel like the visual would be really helpful, but I don't really want to sew it. But we're going to pretend like it is, and these pins are going to be the stitching, okay? So we've rolled, hemmed it. They call it quarter roll in the instructions, the whole thing, all right? But your collar, it doesn't stop down here at the end. It stops before that, and hopefully, looks like I lost my notch or something. All right, so it starts and stops here. Let's put one more in. So, because of that, there's no way for this collar to actually slip in there because, see, it's blocked right there. The interfacing goes on the top collar. I'm just saying it doesn't call for interfacing, Louise. In fact, wait, because like this collar doesn't call for interfacing, so I'm saying if you add it, like I think it would benefit the collar a lot if you really want it to be have a little more body or be crisper, depending on what fabric you're using. So just make sure you do it so that, because the collar is asymmetrical, you don't do it accidentally to the under collar. You're going to have to think ahead a little bit. So right now I would know, here's my little seam right here. This is the collar facing up. I would have wanted this layer to be interfaced. So if that helps give you a visual, if it were on the inside and you were looking up interfacing it, you would want your short collar wrong side up over here, you know, in other words. Okay. In other words, like the center back seam, this is the center back seam. So that's the one you want to interface. I'm not describing it very well. Sorry about that. Okay. So now say we want to now attach our collar. We can't get this on here because it's blocked right here. You can't just slip that in there. See? It wouldn't go. Now, if both these edges were turned up, it still wouldn't go because, you know, you wouldn't have anything attaching it. So I'm not quite sure the best way to do this. And I hate to say this, but it doesn't work the way it's shown in the instructions. I feel really bad saying that. I feel like maybe I'm just missing something. Let's just look at it again. But see, so unless you leave, this is where I think I might be wrong. First quarter roll the hem of the body sleeve and around the neck. So I think though you could do this if you didn't hem between the notches of this neckline, which where are my notches? You know, like what the heck? Here's one. So this one goes here. So this goes to here, right? So I think like if you hemmed up to this notch and found where this other notch is, which I can't believe I don't have here, but I can figure it out just by placing this on here, placing the neckband up to it. So there's a problem with that too. Well, I would do that, Barbara. I would. I'm just trying to illustrate, if you're sewing this, this is what you're going to come up against. So this is what it says. This is post sleeve right here. So here we are. First quarter roll the hem of the body sleeve and around the neck. Stitch and press. If you're adding the collar, oh, here it is. If you're adding the collar, skip the step of quarter rolling around the neck. See, I am wrong. Okay, I just don't read the entire thing sometimes. Okay, you will finish the garment by stitching the other two ties to the center front. Right body is marked. Okay, do this quarter roll the center front and press into place. You're going to insert the ties between the quarter roll and the... Okay, so I'm totally wrong here. You just said before. I just never saw... Skip the step of quarter rolling around the neck. Thank goodness. All right. I was going to try and do it the way they have it so that it would be... it would illustrate that. So I apologize. I apologize. I'm still kind of curious how you're going to finish this edge though if you don't. So I just want to read ahead here. Okay, we've done this. And then they want you to, oh, it's 1/4 inch seam allowance. Why did it change? Okay. Edge stitch the seam allowance towards the inside collar. Towards the inside collar. So I think you understitch it. 1/4 roll left front body up to the notch and press. Pin the outer layer of the collar to the neck. All right. Okay, so yeah, okay, great. Press the unfinished collar up. Okay, so this is, it's only just a little tricky now. No, I don't know. I feel bad that I said that. I read that like 3 or 4 times before I started because I was like, I'm missing something. And I was missing something. So that's my bad. My bad. So I'm going to figure out where that other notch is right now. I probably should have stay stitched this whole edge because it is definitely growing. So let's figure out. Do we have a notch here? Here's my center back right here. Here's my shoulder. And so it's just this one I'm kind of missing here. Oh, maybe, oh, it goes way down here. Interesting. Does it really go that far down there? Let's just get the pattern piece out. It's right here. Does it go enclose that? Oh, it does enclose that edge. All right. So I'm going to put in a stay stitch around this. I'm not going to worry about this section here, but I'm going to stay stitch between this notch on this side here and to the end. Sometimes reading a pattern is part understanding how they like to communicate. This piece right here looks upside down compared to this fabric wise. And the way they talk is just different than how I do, so sorry about that. Yeah, I love the idea of binding the whole edge. I think it would actually look really nice too, you know? So, now we can hem between these notches, but I will say you might get a little bit of fraying at that little corner where you notch. So it's a little tricky to get it in there, so just be really careful. Try not to handle it too much. So let's now hem this. We're going to sew it the way they have it because I owe that to them now. And we need to do our ties still on the other side. I did my notch a little bit shallow. This isn't, I don't like the way that little raw edge is right there, so that's just me. I feel bad. It's a home sewing pattern, not a factory pattern. Trying to combat this long length of bias here by just kind of really gently rolling it but kind of pushing it up into there so that I don't get it stretched out. I'm a polar when I sew. Yeah, Louise, but it doesn't, like, I agree, but at the same time a lot of people don't want a video. And definitely a pattern company doesn't want to see me do that. You know? All right, so let's hem this bottom edge. Let's see, I'm gonna fold this point in like that, maybe. Yeah. So this little, I'm gonna hem the bottom edge. So I'm gonna just pull this point over like that. Fold it again, and then fold it again. And hope I can get that whole hem, or that whole point inside the hem there. Like that. See that? All right. And I'm doing it a little bit more than the 1/2 inch seam allowance for this hem. I'm not sure what the hem allowance is, so I'm going to keep it kind of narrow because we did want a little bit of extra length. But I think a proper hem would be nice too. You know, like a wider one you could do. I was just thinking today again about how we're never going to get sponsorships. That's right, thank you. Oh, I might have alerts off again. I'm sorry. Oh no, I don't. It'll happen. It'll happen. I hope it'll happen. And you know, I saw the Closet Core email today, and I saw those anoraks featured, and I was like, well, I know mine's not in there. And I just felt like, okay, I just don't really know how to go about it, and I'm not trying to get paid. I just want to be able to keep bringing videos to people of garments they want, you know. So you can lead a horse to water. I'm not procrastinating the neckband, just so y'all know. I'm just doing it in the order they said. Skillshare or maybe Audible for what, Mrs. Necro? Audible. You know, I got my Skillshare thing, and then I haven't been able to look at it much lately. All right, so we have our ties. Hopefully we haven't lost, right? I saw a notch here. Oof, I'm not the best at hemming something with a thickness like this in there, but we'll try. Right? Is that where I want that? I think the thing to look at, if I were them, if they could put their ego aside and not worry too much. Oh, cool, Barbara. That's awesome. Oh, for sponsors? Oh. Well, I don't make videos for Skillshare. They definitely have people they like on there, and I think that format is more geared towards graphic artists. But there are some sewing videos on there, but I thought about putting some videos on there. I just don't really know how it works. You know, you don't get paid unless you get views. I'm like, I'm already doing that. All right, so let's hem this. And good for them for adding more sizes. That's really cool. I wish I would have known that when we were doing the cutting videos, so I could have highlighted that, because that's awesome. Where did you see that, Barbara? Because I was on their website and I didn't find it. I didn't look for it. I just kind of was poking around. Maybe it was on the pattern listing and I didn't actually look at the pattern listing because I already had it. So that's awesome. Seems like there's a lot of interest in this. So make sure your strap is 90 degrees. You want a perky, not a strap, but a tie, you know. And I just did it to the raw edge like this, you know, and then turn it under like that. I'm gonna tuck it in there. See, I kept it really simple. So I just put it, this is the right side, put the tie on there, then I just turn it and tuck it in there. You can also like insert your tie into the hem right before you stitch it if you don't want to pre-tack it. I want my tacking stitch to not show. To not be tacky. I got a little bit of a bump there, huh? There we go. And I'm going to do a little bit of a reinforcement stitch right there to keep it straight and keep it flush with the shirt there. I think it looks nicer without. Oh, see, this strap isn't very pretty. See, it's got the seam. So let's flip this one. We want it to be a little nicer than that, right? Oh, huh. That's interesting. I don't even know how to go about that, to be honest. They do? Is there something cool about it? Did I miss that? I actually thought mine had been like kicking around a store or something because it looks a little weathered. It's a keepsake. Maybe it's just kind of the aesthetic of their brand, Barbara. Because their photos are kind of romantic that way, you know? Stop it, Ray. Stop it. Be nice. I didn't have to take this out. I was being a responsible sewist. How often do you see me do that? I should be getting a prize right now. All right, that looks better. All right, maybe I'll do this from this side just to make sure. Yeah, I wouldn't have been straight. There we go. I think if you're a new pattern company and you're, someone said, hey, we're going to give this to this YouTuber to sew on camera, if I were them, I would have been like, oh God. You know, but at the same time, I think it also can help sales. I'm hoping they get some sales from it. No, that's it. Okay, yeah. I will treasure it always. I think I'm about to like cut all my pattern envelopes down on one end and then photograph them on my copy machine. I'm trying to decide the fastest way to get pages for a notebook that is like one page this side and the back is the envelope, right? Just like this, but one piece of paper, not two. I don't want to put it on there and then fold it in half. I don't want that bulk because that's double the paper. You know? All right. Now, we've hemmed that neckline over there. We're ready. Let's do this. So, this is, I think, is your tricky spot right here. Because you don't want your raw edge right here where you've clipped at the end of this neck. So be really gentle with that. Now, my method would be to do this from the wrong side to the right side, right? And I feel like this corner down here is kind of big, so I need to strategize here. So you want the intersection of your seam line to be at the intersection of this hemmed edge. So you actually do need to hem this before you start. And use it flat. Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking, but you know, I've been trying to think like, okay, if I'm using my photocopy machine, maybe I could get 2 whole pattern envelopes on 1 piece of paper. So I need to like figure out exactly how to position them and do it so that it's perfect every time so I don't waste a bunch. Oh, that's cool, Barbara. They do. That's neat. Oh, interesting, Elena. Yeah, see, I was even thinking of just uploading them all to Canva and then just dropping them in. That seems like a little extra when I could just photocopy. So yeah, you want your seam juncture to be on that right there, right? Don't line up your raw edges like this, because then this is what'll happen. You'll have this little bit sticking out right there, okay? So we're starting on the inside of the garment on the wrong side. We're going to open this up and we're going to line up that little hem or that seam of the neckband on that center front edge. And I have that stay stitch to kind of give me a heads up there. I'm just going to start sewing and then I'm going to stabilize it as I go. I have all these notches. It shouldn't be too bad. I did add the stay stitch because it was getting a little bit loosey-goosey and stretchy. Wait, is this the correct side? Yeah. I just don't have the notch for this side. I'm missing it. Wish I could see my stay stitch. So we're just gonna have to hope I actually enclose it. So where's give me a notch, man. Give me a notch. Here we go. Let's put a few pins in at some of these landmarks. Oh, interesting, Elena. Yeah, I could do that. I could do page... mine will scan to email. Like, I could actually do that, too. I can even just do a photo. I just want to know exactly the way to put it in my printer so that it prints with the correct one on the back, you know? Press your shoulder seams towards the back. Line them all up. This is actually going together really nicely. That stay stitch was probably really smart of me to do for once, you know? I mean, it's for once I did it and that was smart. I don't mean to say that it's not smart every time you do it. So yeah, so I have the collar, I have the collar to the wrong side of the body. This is the inside of the garment. And I have the under collar against it. I'm sorry my fabric doesn't show you that. So now here we are at this hem juncture. At this hem juncture here. You can see I was kind of shallow about that. I'm going to line that up. And I might even, I just really want to nail that because you don't really want these little threads of that slit to sneak out, you know? I can't reach my pen, so I'll use one of those. So now we're getting to the point where we really have to get everything in there, and the stay stitch is really saving me. It's coming in clutch, to use a nice gamer word. All right. This is really easy, honestly. But I really want to make sure that this seam encloses my raw edge there. So you want to get that seam lined up with the end of your hem. And the raw edge of your hem is probably going to be exposed no matter what. Let's see how I did. So there we go. So see how this shows a little bit? That's on the inside of the garment though, so I don't have to worry about it too much. Let's get rid of these threads so you can see what's going on there. like I said, I was a little bit shallow, so you can see it kind of bending back a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't be so conservative. Let's look at it from this side. We'll take out a few stitches here since I was being so conservative. And we'll get it lined up a little bit better. Woe is me, I backstitched. And with the linen, I'm sorry, you probably can't see, but I need to make sure I don't accidentally grab my linen. Okay. Let's get rid of these threads here. All right. Let's do it from this side. So can you see this? This is the neck, and that's that seam. A little easier from this side. It's just hard to do the entire neckline like this because your collar might end up sneaking under your needle when you don't want it to. And so now we can get rid of all these threads too. These are my threads, not the fabric. It should all go inside there like that. Be clean finished. Oh, this is another thing. I don't like back stitches close to because you see them sometimes. Let's get rid of those. Get rid of them now or immortalize them forever. All right, so do we want to clip our neckline? Technically, we don't have to because the neckline is not bending back on itself. Nello, I was just thinking about you. Yeah, so I'm not doing this any different than I normally do on a waistband or a collar ray. So the right side of the under collar against the wrong side of the bottom. Exactly, the inside. Will I have a visible seam allowance on the back? Well, you were seeing the inside of the garment here. But that's what you mean. So now we're on the right side of the garment. It's really hard to see. I might need to remind them about sending a little bit lighter colors. All right, so here we are at this edge here. Okay, so here's your collar. Here is this angled front, okay? And here's your seam. Like I said, this is my own method where I like to do it on, I like to end on the outside of the garment because it's what shows. And so now we're going to turn under this edge here. And what I do is I open it up like this. And then it kind of naturally goes in under a little bit. And then I kind of fuss with it to make sure. And you have a nice little juncture there. And so now we need to worry about torquing and things like that. But you'd worry about that on either side. But this is what you're going to worry about on your last pass here. Let's get rid of this thread here. So I'll do one pin there, but I'm going to go and do all the spots that are non-negotiable. So see, because the seam allowance of the neckline is going up into the collar, and it's not at a point where it needs to spread out, you don't technically have to clip it. You could though. I mean, I would on a collar stand, but on this, because it's a little bit more open, you don't have to worry about it too much. Oh, okay, Barbara. So let's get our seams lined up first. Non-negotiable spots. Shoulders, center, back, stuff like that. There's kind of a few kind of close together, and then you have a little bit of a dry spell on this whole long section. So at least by then you probably have your sewing legs under you and you're like, I'm a pro at this now. I mean, I don't know about that. Okay, so the same thing. We went to the end here, so it's not as easy, or not as hard as the other one was. So again, I just open it up, fold it up in there, like that. And then I focus on trying to make sure that it stays nice and flat. How dat? that better? So see, there's that juncture there. Open it. So if you like the method of pressing up your seam allowance first, you can do that. I'm not very good at that, to be honest. It's just not my style. I do a little better with this, leaving that seam allowance flat. I think this would turn out better if I pressed it first, the neckline, because you can kind of see the seam allowance poking up. So maybe what we'll do is we will clip a little bit of this. This isn't a curve we want to really clip though. It's just because it's on the bias and all that. All right, so let's find this notch here. At least I can make sure this notch matches the neckband. Even if I don't have it on the neckline, I can still match it to itself. So now we have all of our landmarks. And we can go back and pin in between. That way you know, like, okay, I only have to, you know, make the magic between these two little spots. And it's not so daunting. You can manage that, right? You can do it between two little spots. And then all those little spots start adding up to the whole length. I'm still trying to decide if I want to clip my neckline. I don't think it's very necessary on this particular neck. I would on a collar and collar stand though, and it's kind of the same principle, but that is a much tighter circumference around the neck and it sits up higher on the neck. And the collar stand is so narrow, it does help it. So the other thing I would just think about is making sure that your neckband stays the same width. We don't want no stinking bent pins. This looks a little wider than down here. That's why I was checking. You don't want to over rotate your neckband along the seam here. You want it to be nice and flat. The linen is so great for stuff like that. Yes, it's an open weave. It's easy to snag. It kind of frays a little bit. There are some things that you kind of just have to deal with, and they're not such a bad thing. But when it comes to things like this, it really wants to lay nice and be crisp. I mean, that's funny because I would probably agree with them. But at the same time, when I used to kind of be new to sewing on YouTube, I felt like all my ratings for what I thought a pattern was it was obvious I wasn't in alignment with what the other people thought, and I kind of think I figured out why, and I think it's because. So I think other companies would rate this one as a beginner because they want to encourage more people to try it. But I feel conflicted about that. I agree with that because I'm like, yeah, I don't want anything to stop someone. If they want that, I think they should try it. And I think that's the key when you are new to sewing and kind of trying to figure out how to get better. You really want to sew things that you really want because you'll probably spend more time figuring out how to do it and you'll be more invested in finishing it. And I think personally, I think finishing is a really important part of getting better because then you learn finishing is like half the project because this is what we're doing now. We're on the finishing steps. And you get to wear it. And I think that's really important because then you kind of start figuring out what fits, what fabrics you like and things like that, right? But on the other hand, I don't want someone to be really frustrated and be like, it said it was a beginner and I can't do it, or I don't have those skills. So I think that's just kind of, have you done this before? And like on my patterns, I always say, these are the things you expect to do. And these are the skills you're probably going to strengthen when you sew this pattern, like binding or sewing with stiffener. So I think the neckband would be the thing that would make it intermediate, to be honest, Louise. The sleeves, you don't have to do French seams. They're not hard to set on. There's not a ton of extra ease. All right, so remember how they said to edge stitch around the collar? Well, I hadn't done that yet, and I think this actually would look really nice without a top stitching. I think also for those of you, Mrs. Necro, who likes to hand sew, hand sewing this would actually be kind of a nice touch. I have to admit, this would be really nice and clean with no visible stitching. It's a very classy garment. I'm going to brighten it up for you guys so you can see how classy it looks. Oh, I have the brightness so high. That purple just absorbs it. And I have the camera really low. I think it's a, stop that. Very classy garment, you know? So you don't have to edge stitch it. But that being said, let me get rid of this thread. If I were to edge stitch this whole thing, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to start here at the center back neck, go around, and end here. That way I don't have my start and stop at the front and center points of the collar. Yes, you. I like that in the pattern instructions they encourage you to try and stitch in the ditch. I'm not doing that, obviously, because I didn't sew it the same way, but that is kind of a good method. Then that way you can kind of hide the top stitching more. And I think that they, you know, I'm wrong. They said to edge stitch the collar on the, to the inside of the neckband, which I think they were trying to say understitch. So I'm wrong. There wouldn't be visible stitching on this collar, but mine's gonna have that, so I can show you how I like to do this way. All right, so I have my all. One more. There we go. One more. Let's see. Ooh, that's right on the edge. I need to move, batten down the hatches. Sorry, that's so bright. Please don't run out of bobbin thread right now. Trying to keep some purple on there for you. I wasn't calling you out. I was saying it would be for those of you who like to hand sew, you might enjoy employing those skills on this particular project. You know, to quote Professor Moody, there's weirdos in every lot. Just teasing. You guys are getting to know me too well now. You're going to start seeing that I'm a big teaser. I think that's why people don't like me. They don't realize I'm teasing. Okay, now we're back at the beginning, and our back stitch is back here, hidden at the center back, and we have this nice continuous stitching around here, a little bit showing right there. Could probably work on. I have to admit, these dark fabrics are a little hard for me to sew these days. Pull that, you can shape it. Nice and clean. Let's see how it looks on the inside. Let's get rid of our back stitch. Looks pretty good. Looks like I did stitch in the ditch, but I just got lucky. This is just fabric. There we go. All right. So now we just have the sleeve hems and we're done. Oh, and I forgot my label. Whoops. We can just stick it like this sideways, right? I would have had to do that on the first pass, and I always think of it as the last thing. Right, Mrs. Necro? There are worse things that could classify you as the weirdo, right? I'm getting close to being gone with my labels. I think I ordered like 300. We've sewn a lot, but I am using them on these bags. I don't know what just did that, but I got my skin. I didn't hurt myself or anything. I just feel it. All right, let's see where those hems at. Give me those hems. And I'm gonna give it a little bit of a good pressing because I kind of skipped that during the neckband. I get kind of excited and eager to keep going. It would have come out even nicer if I hadn't gotten a little excited. Yeah, that sounds nice. I like that idea, you guys. Hand sewing like a whole garment. You know that March top that Helen's Closet came out with? She's not talking about it much right now, which kind of surprises me since it's a new pattern. But I was thinking that that one could be kind of nice as a top. And then the like the yoke all be embroidered. I sound like that's something I would do, but you know me. Are you, Libby? What are you making? All right, so I'm just gonna roll hem this. I apologize if there are actual hem allowances, but there's no hem shape on this sleeve, so I'm just gonna kind of keep it somewhat narrow. Not really though. It's not a steep angle at the underarm seam, so it shouldn't be a problem. See, this is what I can tell. I'm just going to cut this little skin tag off. It's catching on stuff. I don't know what I just did there. Get rid of this thread here, whatever that is. One more sleeve. Oh, yeah. Oh, nice. That's awesome, Libby. That's awesome. And you're hand sewing it together? You're doing the skirt. So did you do the bodice? You said so Libby is where I got the information from for the free sewing. And I'm going to show you guys at the end here after we're done sewing. And I'll try this on my dress form too. So she said that you printed out your sloper. Okay, I know my hem isn't very even right there. I apologize. Whoops. Here we go. Let's give it a little bit of a press, and then we'll put it on the dress form. And you said you just had to do like a couple versions, right, Libby? Like it came out pretty close. The dart was in a weird spot, and I agree. When I saw the dart, I was like, in the PDF, I was like, huh, that is a aggressive dart in a weird spot. It's kind of high up. It's like starts from like up here. Get a little bit of a press going here since I didn't press too much as I was going, and we'll get the hem since every little wrinkle will show. Oh, just the hem. Cool. So you did the skirt block as well. Oh, I have a little torquing in this front area here, so good thing that's underneath, because that would probably be something I would constantly battle. And look at all that bias. I would have done so much better had I stay stitched this when I first cut it out. So if you haven't started yours, press this neckband. All right. About here. Wait, I thought I pressed that seam allowance. Oh, I pressed it forward. What the heck? Weird. A little bit of sleeve press, and then we'll try it on. I wish I'd slow down because then now I have a wrinkle. Let's see if I can get rid of that. Press your seam allowance always towards the sleeve cap, because then you can get this little bit of curve, you know, and that's what you're kind of going for. That's where all that ease is, right? Good night, Louise. Sleep well. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. It's nice to have you here. All right, let's try this on the dress form. Let me bring her over. She does not like my carpet. The wearable muslin, the elusive wearable muslin. It feels so funny having the asymmetrical collar. Like it feels funny when you're pulling it. We're not used to the asymmetry. Get my pins are kind of pushing against that collar. Oh, there we go. It doesn't glide on the cover because I put a fabric cover on mine. I'll position her so you can see her just a second. You could have some fun with variations on the ties, you know? I don't know how to tie a bow all of a sudden. There we go. You guys are so funny. Is the lighting better over here maybe? A little bit. Oh, that's a little too far. A little bit of pulling right here on me, on my dress form. It's probably would be better on me. I find that back necks are a little bit too tight on me. You can see it's even pulling right here. So maybe if I made this for me, I would open it up at the back here a little bit to kind of combat that. But you can see I would get that pooling here too. But I think that's a good length. Honestly, it looks pretty good. What do you think? The color's great. I can't look at the camera. It's the wrong direction. I want to see it without the tie here. So then you see this kind of dip below and it hangs out, you know, underneath. Cute. Very cute. So I think this would be such a fast top to make. You could do it in such a, like, what if you put this in a really fancy fabric and wore it with a nice pair of jeans? I don't dress that nice, but there's a lot of people who do. And I think that that would look really nice, you know? What if you put it in a really nice brocade or a chiffon, print chiffon? Nice little camisole underneath. Be really cute. Oh, thanks, Serena. It's the Maya Sodas with fabric I got from Hearts. Double gauze. I love this dress. It's so easy to wear and comfortable. I feel a little bit like a parade float because it's just like the high-waistedness and all the ruffles, but I don't mind. I love it. This is the dress I wore at the grocery store, and I got 3 people compliment me. I was like, whoa, I haven't been out in public. Would the pooling help it not pull off of the... Pull up if the wearer lifts their arm? Well, I just get the pooling a lot right here. This isn't so bad. I think, honestly, the back neck is a little tight. And here's the thing. The dress form, this is such a great tool because if it fits my dress form pretty good, it fits me really good. Because I'm soft and like, the dress form, you know, isn't breathing. So it's a little snugger fit. Plus, this fabric adds a little bit of girth, but I wanted seams so I could do my draping lines. Nancy, aw. Home stretch, lady. That looks cute. Very cute. This is a fun project to sew. I like it. What if you did like a hem that was more like a shirt style hem that went up here? I would kind of like it to look less kimono, to be honest. But it doesn't, because it doesn't have that same sleeve. So my sleeves, my shoulder seam is right here. That is kind of far back. I'll try it on and take a picture. I don't have pants with me today. I didn't even think of that. So I'll have to figure that out. I may have to wait till I have some bottoms to put with it. I don't know if I should send this one back to Hearts. I think I should steal it. I have some threads right here. I think my back stitch, I started a little too far in there. I'll have to fix that. What other tie ideas do you think you could do? Do you think that you would do... You could even do buttons and buttonholes, right? Or what if you did something like I used to make these little miniature scrunchies, and I'd put a nice button, and then it would be like a little scrunchie would go loop over the button. I think that'd be kind of cute. Something like that. And then you wouldn't have the ties. Would it look too waiter-ish, though, then? Maybe it would look too waiter, like a waiter, you know? Or a maitre d'. A frog. Yeah, I think that I would want to downplay the Asian influence, though. And I think a frog would kind of accentuate that, but it would look really nice. There's so many cool ones out there, too. Even snaps. What if you did hidden snaps? And it just ended like that. You didn't see ties at all. That'd be pretty snazzy. I can see why she made this probably in a really nice fabric and wore it to a wedding. Cool. Yeah, I think it's great. Turned out great. And I'm glad I finally read the directions of the neckband better. Look, my neckband almost looks better on the inside, I have to say. It'd be like that sometimes. All right, well, Saturday I'll be fitting my Dawn jeans. I don't know how many fitting things I will have on it, so it's gonna be an adventure for all of us. I cut them out. I'm gonna sew it today. It's sitting here somewhere in just a muslin, and then I'll try them on and see what we need to do. I'll try and take some pictures so you can see what I'm trying to fit. You feel the need to buy linen? Well, you do sound like you're very interested, Mrs. Necro. So what is putting you, is it just the cost of it? Because there are some places you can get it pretty affordably. I find this stuff to be really affordable, the Brussels washer linen. And it's 54 inches wide, so you get a lot. Yeah, the color's amazing. It looks so much better in person, you guys. The fluorescent light is putting this blue hue to it. It's a much warmer purple than that. Thank you, hearts. We really appreciate it. I'll show you guys the code again. Right here. That was fun. Oh, well, that's a good thing, though, Mrs. Necro. They go so fast here. Like, you're in and out in like 5 minutes. It's crazy. You have to wait 15 minutes afterward, but it's so fast here. It's kind of, we kind of chuckle about it. It's like, God, I wish everything was this easy. I wish going to the bank, the DMV, I wish everything was like this. So fun. And the atmosphere is really great. Cricket said there was a 98-year-old woman that came in a wheelchair, and she got a round of applause. It's pretty cute. Oh yeah, then just wait. It'll always be there, Mrs. Necro. Linen will always be there. It's even more, it's so easy to find nowadays, which is awesome. And it'll be just as awesome when you get to buy it. And it'll be so much better if you're not worried about the money about it, you know? Yeah, fabrics from Fabrics. Is that fabricstore.com? Nice, Nancy. That's awesome. All right, well, that's it for today, you guys. Oh, I wanted to show you the freesewing.org thing. Let me show you. All right, so first we're going to look at the Closet Historian. Oh, I have caps lock on. Oh, she has a website. Oh, she has, it's not quite cosplay, but let's see. Sorry, just a second. Oh, here, playlists. Pattern drafting. Oh, she doesn't have it in there? Oh, wait. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so this, whoops. This video here shows how to, oh, it's a blog, okay. This video here is like a, she calls it a lazy bodice block pattern hack. I'm watching it in the play. Oh, here, cheat method to making a bodice block. And she has a list of resources in her description for a blog post about fitting issues and patterns that she thinks are really good launching points to make your block so you don't have to draft from scratch, which is my videos from scratch. And then let's check out this other one. So this one here, and let me show you my screen here. Let's do this first. Here we go. So this is the video. It looks like Where's the thumbnail? It's so nice when you can see the thumbnail. Oh well. I found it in the playlist, so it doesn't show up properly. This is her though, Closet Historian. Does a lot of really cool vintage stuff. And then the other one where you can put in your measurements and they will spit out a block at you is this freesewing.org. And now, let's see, go to designs, and if you would like a block, and then this one's for women's wear. And once you start it, you do all these measurements. It is quite a bit, but you get a sleeve, a bodice front, and a bodice back. And if you do all the measurements in your profile, you have to create a profile. If you do all the measurements, then you can also do a pants block as well. There's a lot of menswear sewing in here, by the way. Some really interesting, like these little sketches are pretty cute. Where's the pants? Terry, I thought you might find this interesting because there's a lot of menswear in here, and you can, so here's a unisex trouser block. I hate the term unisex. Because we're all different. I like it from the term of that you can modify this to fit any body, but you can't make it middle of the road fit everybody. It has to fit you perfectly, you know? So anyway, I would recommend trying. I'm going to try it out. Where am I? Here I am. Where'd my chat go? What the heck? Oh, here's my chat. Sorry. The Titan, thank you. Yeah, right, Nancy? That's what I was thinking. Free sewing. Oh, sorry. Let's put it in here. In the chat. Sorry, I'm trying to do too much at once here. I'm putting the link in the chat right now. Here you go. Yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of menswear on there. I think it primarily started as a menswear pattern thing. I'm not sure. I haven't investigated a lot. I got Libby's email, and it instantly made me stop what I was doing. And I was like, oh, really? And I went and checked it out. And then I even finished what I was doing for the day, was logging off and going home at 5:22. And I was really excited because I thought my husband would be like, whoa, you're home before 6. And then I was like, well, now that I'm early, I could do all my measurements. And then I did. I did my measurements, and I left in 20 minutes. So it didn't take me long. But I also did it with my dress form and my own. So I know that made it a little easier because I could measure her, like these like half ones, because I have a seam right there. So what I recommend is that when you do one of the circumference ones, note where the half marks are, like on your side, your front side to side. Then that way you can do less. Just do it. It's not hard, and it's really great how it'll come up with an image of a person, and you see the side of her, the front of her, and the back of her, and it shows you where you're measuring, and it has a description. Because there were a couple I was like, oh, I've never heard of this one before. Oh, really, CD? Thanks for saying that. The Charlie. You know, the thing is, like, I think a lot of guys have mentioned this site to me before, and I completely thought it was a completely different site. And I apologize because when they mentioned it, because I've had a few guys say, oh, I sew a lot of the patterns off of free sewing. And here's the deal. This is what I thought. Like, I thought that you were talking about the site All Free Sewing. And I'm pretty sure that's it, because there's an all free knitting, all free crocheting, and all free sewing. And that site, I can barely go on that site. It is just like a billion things on the page. Yes, it's free, but it is just an onslaught of stuff, and you're going to get spammed with everything and pop-ups and everything. And I was like, oh yeah, I can't even visit that. It's just too overwhelming. And now I know I was completely wrong, and I apologize to all you guys out there for saying you've mentioned this site to me and I was wrong. So I really appreciate Libby actually sending an email and saying, check this out for specifically for this. Because maybe if all of us could start with a block that fits us, and we'll make it together and fit it together. So I've already put in my measurements and I'm testing it out. So let's see. And I will say that there are people who sell blocks on Etsy. So if you don't want to draft from scratch, like I have that free series in my YouTube pattern drafting playlist. If you don't want to do that, I know it's overwhelming. Maybe you just read some of your measurements on a size chart where someone makes blocks. If you don't want to input all your measurements, you can go buy a block on Etsy. And maybe you can get a few sizes and then grade between them to get your size. And then that's where we're all going to start. We're all going to start with something, and then we're going to refine the fit of that block. And then we're going to be able to occasionally draw patterns together. Yeah, the Titan is a block. So that's what we're looking for. It's slow because of all that. Yeah, these are steps, baby steps though. So here's my plan. May, I know is Me Made May, and there's probably gonna be lots of cool stuff going on in the sewing community, and I don't have anything planned, and it's also my birthday month, so it's usually kind of special sewing wise for me. But I'm gonna go away for about a week, so I won't probably be as up and bringing you all the content that people are gonna expect in Me Made May. I'm gonna have a bunch of videos, but this is my thing I think we should all do. I think we should all try and put together a block or a pattern that we feel fits us really well, that we can start drafting patterns from by the end of May. So have something sewn. Figure out what you're going to do by the end of May. Have it ready as far as you can get. And I will too. And I think that's what we'll do. By the end of May, we're going to be doing we're going to start that. And it won't be like this big, grand series, so don't feel like it's going to be this overwhelming thing you have to keep up on. All right? Awesome, Florentine. Good. I'm really glad. Yeah, I think it's going to be good as long as we all have a pattern we can start from. And however you get to that point is great, whatever you're comfortable with. And I think that if you have a pattern in your library, like a button down with some darts for a woman or a female or a person that has shape, I have worked in companies where we sold the women's version of things to men because of their shape. It just depends if you have that shaping you need. Something, whatever you need your block to start with so that you can get the fit that you want for the garments that we plan to make or you want to make. On mine, I want at least a waist dart and a side bust dart, or even like traditionally it used to be a shoulder to apex and a waist to apex, 2 darts that way, going vertically. Now the more modern way is a side and a waist dart. And then you want a set-in sleeve. You want just a vanilla neckline. It doesn't have to have a placket or anything like that. And some darts. So really, if you don't even have the darts, you really need to know where that would go if you're going to make garments that have darts. But you need to be able to get the shape. A lot of clothing doesn't need it, but some does. I'm not really describing it really well. I'm a little hungry. I'm sorry. But I think you guys got the hang of it. And once we start getting into it, you're going to see, oh yeah, actually this pattern isn't great because it's got a V-neck. I really need to. So if you have a pattern that fits you really great and it has a V-neck, use it. We'll get the neck up. We can just raise it. That's really easy to trial and error. What you really want to fit well is your shoulders, your armhole, and if you have a bust, you want your bust to fit well. You want your waist. You want to know where your side seam is. Your side seam needs to be plumb to the floor, meaning perpendicular to the floor. You want to know where your shoulder seam is. That's what you want to focus on. We don't care about style lines so much. We want it to be pretty basic. right? So let's just try and get something like that to a 3/4 of the way there by the end of May. And then we'll all come together then and we'll start talking about our blocks and what we want to fit. So that'll be good. And the other thing we're going to do as a like kind of a sew along at the end of summer, I should mention this, is we're going to do a coat. We've been talking about it in the Facebook group. I'm going to use the Cashmere Auburn blazer, but you can use whatever you want. I am not a coat tailor. I'm not a coat maker, but I'm down for the whole process. I think it'll be fun. I'll learn some stuff. I haven't sewn like that in years. So I am not your tailor reference. I am your, how do we get this done and make it look really good without going to tailoring school? I'm your girl. So, all right. Well, this has been fun. I'll see you on Saturday where we'll fit the Dawn jeans and we'll talk about fitting then too. And I'm nervous about it too. So, because I really want to bring you guys something that's useful to you. So, I really wish I had a pants form. You know? Maybe even if I just stuffed some tights for something to hold it up on. I don't know. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. I will see you guys Saturday if you guys want to join in. And I really appreciate you guys being here. Thanks to the donation, Ray. Barbara, if you're here, are you signed up for Tuesday? Patreon, don't forget. And same with Kim McGee, I think. So just maybe start giving you a little bit of a heads up for the patrons out there. So, all right, guys, I'll talk to you soon, and I'll see you Saturday. Bye.